the new season of the Stephanie Gaitley Show. My name is James Cargan. Alongside me to my right is the sage Jack McClune. And joining us, as always, you like that, Coach,
I did like that, James.
Joining us, as always, is the head coach of the Fordham Rams women's basketball team, Stephanie Gaitley. Coach, it's great to have you back on, and it's great to do this all over again.
Can't believe we're here another year. It's hard to believe, but you guys still look handsome.
Thank you so much, Coach. And coming off of your opening night victory against UMBC, how does it feel just to get that monkey off your back, get that first game and that first win over with?
You know, I think that third scrimmage against Hofstra proved to be very critical for us because I really believe if we hadn't played that game, the outcome might have been different against UMBC. I think we were able to work out a lot of kinks against a very good Hofstra team. And once we were able to work those out, and, you know, with the freshmen, and I think that's the big, you know, the operative word there, the freshmen, and just, you know, having so many young kids getting so many minutes early is going to prove valuable at the end. But right now, as we're trying to figure it out with a very demanding schedule, patience is a virtue.
Yeah, of course. First episode of the new season of it, you're already answering the questions I'm about to ask, which is this. I was obviously going to ask about the freshmen. So I guess since you started that, what did you see in the growth from that freshman class in just the first game?
There was growth actually within the game, as you said, Jack. I mean, like for our kids, that first half, there was a lot of jitters. I mean, because if you go back to that Hofstra game, we had trouble just scoring. And then we go against UMBC, which we had planned entirely the entire week with Scout to play zone because they had played zone 100% of the time last season. Yeah. And then they open up in man, which was fine because we're a man-to-man team, but I think it took a little bit for us to gel on that. Then they were a team that switched everything. We don't switch everything, so again, got to get used to that. So then once we were able to make some adjustment at halftime, get the kids' nerves settled a little bit, I think we were able to settle in.
You wound up having quite a bit of success later on in the game against their man-to-man, if I recall. One of the cliches, I think is a cliche, about playing with young players is that they need to learn how to win. Now, I can see that in this group, that they're gradually getting to that point, and the schedule that you have in front of you, we'll get to that later on in the show, is really going to challenge them and prepare them to learn how to win. How important is that for your girls?
It's critical. If you go back to when I started this program at Fordham, the biggest thing was learning how to win because they hadn't won for so long. So everything we do in practice is competitive. One of the things I challenged them with today was you got to win every drill. Every drill is your opponent, you know, and that's the only way you learn how to hate to lose. You know, I don't care if it's a drill. I don't care if it's scout squad. I don't care if it's a 3-on-3 drill. That is a competition, and your goal is to win that competition. And if you don't, you should be angry that you didn't, and you got to figure out why you didn't. You know, so for us, with our kids, it started over in the foreign tour, but then again, Asante and Mary were part of that rotation, and with them being out of the rotation, it's forced our hand to play freshmen the minutes that we weren't ready to play them this early, but will end up being valuable down the stretch.
And so with those freshmen playing less minutes, one of the things that, or playing more minutes than you expected, one of the things that stood out to me was how, especially in the second half, the passing on this team was like, it was like they knew where everyone was going to be anyway. You guys had 11 assists on the 24 field goals you guys made. Where did that come from, that they're so comfortable passing the ball already? Well,
I think they're unselfish. I think the chemistry of this team's outstanding. I mean, we're young and we're going to make young mistakes, but I think they're a very unselfish group, and I think they just care about the overall picture, which is winning. I think the second half, you saw some great interior passing between Joey and G and the post and the bigs, you know, finding people open for layups. And, you know, and we know G's going to be double. So G's got to be a willing passer, and she is. I think she's matured a lot in that area. And Joey, I think her national team experience helped her be very poised in the opening game.
And I want to ask about G, because there were times where G did some things that I've never seen her do before, trying to go, and sometimes successfully, going coast to coast, looking like LeBron James at times. Is that something that you have encouraged? Is that a sign of her possibly doing too much? I asked you before that game how to handle her workload. Is she trying to do too much?
No, and I think the most important thing is trust. Like G's worked really hard on other aspects of her game. So if I don't trust her, that's a big part of a coach-player relationship. And is she going to make mistakes? Yeah, I mean, obviously our number one thing is to win as a Fordham team, but also, G's getting ready for the next level and the next stage of her life in basketball. And fortunately with Joey and Haley, being the post that we brought in, it frees G up to play more of a natural position, which is a 3-4. So I got to let her experiment that, because I think down the line she's proven overseas and she's proven in her practice that she can do it. So if you don't let her go in a game, you'll never know. So I think there's a trust and a respect there that we have that I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and then alongside G, you had Lauren Holden as your only returning start in this game, the junior, point guard. So how big was it having the two of them on the court, at least as some kind of stability for this team?
I mean, that's huge. I mean, just because normally I'm used to having 3 or 4 returners on the court, or at least people that had valuable minutes. If you look at it, when G got in foul trouble, I looked at him like, holy shucky mushrooms. There's 4 freshmen on the court at the same time, and our rotation is 5, 6 freshmen that you're bringing on the court, and that's hard, especially with the schedule we're playing. I mean, we're fortunate that, both Zara and both Kendall and Bree had a year in the system. So they're more like, as my husband refers to them, as froths, like freshmen and sophomores. But that experience has helped. They're not totally true freshmen, but they're still kids getting the first minutes for the first time. And even like I said to Bree against Hofstra, I said, Bree, you didn't score against Hofstra, and believe it or not, you were worse on defense. So what does that say? And so we had to talk about settling down, calming down, and I think she did that in the second half. And I think the more game experience she gets, I think the more confident she will get.
I want to ask about Lauren in a sort of an off-the-court way, because in her freshman year, she was sort of thrown in to that point guard role. Last year, she was the starting point guard on an experienced Layton team. This year, she's a part of the experience. How has she settled into sort of a leadership role?
Well, I think it says a lot that both her coaches and her teammates voted her, Mary, and G captains. So that tells you that their voice is being heard to their teammates. And so I take that role very, very serious, because it's not something I think should be given. It's something that's earned, not because you're a senior, but because you're a leader. I think the Leadership Academy we have here is an outstanding one, which I think gets kids ready for the next level, and also teaches some great leadership habits. And so for our kids, I think Lauren learning, she represented us at Atlantic 10 last April as a rising junior at the Atlantic 10 meetings for leaders. And I think all these things off the court has helped her become a much better leader on the court.
All right, and later on in the show, we will be previewing this week's games against Boston College and Albany. But first, let's talk to some of the girls on the team, Jamaris Davis and Bree Cavanaugh. Back here with my good friend Jack McClune. I'm James Cargan, and our two very special guests, All-American candidate and show veteran Jamaris Davis, and a new face here on the Stephanie Gaitley Show, Bree Cavanaugh. Bree and G, good to see you girls.
Nice to see you.
Bree, I'll start with you since we're already bored with Jamaris, having seen her all the time on this show. First game in the maroon and white against UMBC. Were you nervous at all? How did it feel to get that first game off your back?
At first, I was, pretty nervous, and I think that's pretty normal. But then as the game, kept going, all my nerves went away, and I was pretty excited. It was actually a fun experience. It was fun.
Gee, I'm not bored of you, because
James,
none of us are.
Terrible. James spoke for himself, not me, but especially because we saw a different Jamaris in that UMBC game. You went coast to coast more than once. Something we haven't seen before. Is that something you worked on in the offseason, like being more confident with the ball?
Yeah, I've worked on expanding my game in a lot of different ways. I'm getting more comfortable taking threes, a little more comfortable with the ball in my hands, a little more, just stepping off the block a little more, because now that's what people are going to play me to do. So, I have to add a few more things to my game.
You're looking like LeBron James almost when going up the court and about with the length of your legs, almost about like 4 or 5 dribbles almost. But this is obviously a different looking Fordham team. It's a younger team. How have you adjusted to the people around you?
I think I'm doing a pretty good job of adjusting. My patience has been really good. Just, giving time, giving the rest of the freshmen time to adjust, to college in general. But, I think I've even taken kind of a step back where, other people are able to step up now because I know that I'm going to be the focal point and, there's going to be a lot of attention on me. So other people have to step up in other ways. And I think I've been doing my best to kind of, make that transition for myself and my teammates.
And then, Bree, I know you've been here for about a year now, having transferred last year, so it's a little different, but what has it been like being a part of this big freshman class?
Being a part of the freshman class, I think it's different. I know we're all young, but at the same time, having been here a year, I've adjusted to the plays and coaches' playing style. So I think it's, I have a step ahead. I'm not quite like there where G is, where she can lead and do everything, but I'm kind of getting there. It's a process, So I think it's the process. It's long. So
Being trusted?
Yeah. It's a trusted process.
Gee, that saying, being from Philadelphia. Last year, there was a lot more experience on your team. This year, in the last game against UMBC, you got double teamed essentially every time you got the ball in the post. How have you adjusted to that? And is this something that you've worked on through the off season?
I'm working on it a lot more than I've worked on it during the off season, just because, especially from that first game and everything that I did last year, I know, and we all know now, that teams are going to be looking to double me anytime I get the ball. And it was weird because it's like it didn't matter where I caught it. As soon as I caught the ball, they were sending like 2 or 3 people to me. And it's just something that I have to get used to, not having as much freedom with the ball, I would say, because of the double and triple teams that are coming, just being willing to pass and, create things for my teammates, not being selfish. I have to be okay with maybe not putting up the scoring numbers that I did last year because I'm getting doubled now. So, maybe stepping up in my assist category, that's a new goal for me. So just stepping up in different ways.
Could wear that double team like a badge of honor.
Yeah. Yeah. Make them pay. You're going to double me, you're going to make you pay.
I wish I got doubled when I played basketball. I wasn't as much of a threat.
And so you mentioned getting more in that assist category. We talked a little bit about it with Coach. In terms of just the passing on this team, you guys seem to have a chemistry knowing where you guys are so young. Is that something you feel like, this really to both of you, just the passing on the team is like, was that something you guys worked on a team to build that team chemistry to know where people are right away? Because it doesn't look like a team of freshmen when you guys are passing the ball.
It doesn't. I think it has a lot to do with our team chemistry, and it isn't something that we spend so much time working on in practice. We've been practicing since summertime, leading up to the foreign tour, and then even after the foreign tour, leading up into all our scrimmages, and now the season's here. So we've built a lot of team chemistry. We know where people like the ball, where they're going to be. So we just kind of play off of each other. And it's great. This group of freshmen is great because, like you said, at times it doesn't even feel like I'm playing with freshmen. They're so much more experienced and they're so poised and, they're just always working hard and looking to learn. So sometimes it doesn't even feel like we're playing with freshmen, and that's a great feeling.
And Bree, you on the court definitely have the confidence of someone who's been playing like at the college level for 4 years. How much does that bring to your game? Because I know, especially at one point, you and Lauren Holden met at midcourt just yelling about something, and it was really good to see because you just looked comfortable. How much does that bring to your game?
It brings a lot. I mean, being comfortable leads to being confident, and when you're obviously confident within yourself, you're able to do multiple things, whether it be passing, scoring, those doing the intangibles that coach has taught us to do or tells us that we should be doing. So I think with the confidence, and also not I haven't played in 2 years, so also that too fired me up to do well and to do the things I'm supposed to be doing right now.
And the emotion, Bree, that you showed on the court, you know what I'm talking about. You showed a lot of emotion on the court. Where does that come from? Are you normally a fiery player like that, or was it the opening night you being fired up for that?
No, well, I'm normally a fiery player, but I also, I love my teammates, I love my squad. So seeing them, for example, like G taking that charge, that fires me up. You know what I mean? Or L getting an and one, or Joey, scoring an and one, that gets me fired up. I love my squad, and that's what happens.
Now, Bree, you were in charge of the 3-point celebration last year. After every three, you go down the line doing high fives. Did you pass that down? Has someone else got that now?
I think Katie has that now. Either Katie or Raylo has that now.
We're still trying to figure it out. So there's times where I'm on the bench and I'm doing it. So we're still trying to figure out who's going to take on that role. But we're working through.
It's an important one.
That's
In my mind, I still dab.
that's an important part of team chemistry. We all know that. Girls, thank you so much for joining us here. Good luck this week against Boston College and Albany, and we hope to see you back here soon.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
And back here with Coach Gaitley, let's now look ahead to this week's games against Boston College on Thursday, and then Sunday's game at Albany, both on the road. And let's look at BC first. You've got a young team, and second game of the year, a road game against an ACC opponent. What do you look for from BC after last year where you defeated them at the Rose Hill Gym?
A war. I mean, it's a kids' game, so it's an 11 a.m. game.
Yes.
So we'll be practicing tomorrow with voices voices on the whatever they put up there on the screen,
That's
just so we
always
get used to it. Because I don't know how many they'll have. Sometimes those days you have a lot, sometimes you don't have a lot. So we just want to be prepared, of what we're going to attack and what we're going to see. But I think our kids will be ready for it. I mean, sometimes it's easier for younger kids to play on the road. There's less distractions, because when you're at home, you have more distractions. You got friends and family, and when you're away, the only focus is on that game. But my concern is just, playing a little bit out of kilter, playing 11, but we do practice that slot, so that is something that's in our favor. But again, we're playing a very well-coached, very disciplined BC game, and anytime you're going to learn to win on the road, you got to put it together for 40 minutes.
Yeah, Boston College has a lot of different scores. In their first game that they won, they had 4 different players in double digits. How do you game plan, especially with freshmen, on guarding 4 different scoring threats?
To be honest, Jack, we don't get so caught up in the opponent as much about, the actual individual. We obviously will know their individual tendencies, but it's really just about working together as one defensively and forcing, the least percentage shot possible. I mean, last year we had to contend with an outstanding post player who's since transferred for them, so they're a little bit different. This year they're playing 4 guards, and so that's going to really put some pressure on G. And I challenged her. You're on the all-defensive team. This kid's going to challenge you. She's taken 21 threes in 2 games. That's a lot of threes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of threes. So you got, now here's G used to sitting in the lane. She's not a traffic cop in this game. She's got to defend, but yet I have faith in her that she can defend, but she's got to work. It's going to, you're going to have to, it's a freshman that really likes to step out, and it's a tough matchup for us. But I think the challenge is there, but I think our kids are ready for it.
And then looking ahead to Sunday's ride up the Hudson to take on the Great Danes of Albany. We all know what happened in last year's game with the heroics of Danielle Burns. Should we expect a similar type of game?
You know what? They're a very physical team. I mean, they played probably a quarter and a half with Maryland. Maryland's the number 4 team ranked in the country, and Albany stood with them for a while, and then kind of Maryland broke it open and was able to, their size and their athletic ability, won that war over. But they play really hard. They're, an NCAA team for the last, 7 or 8 years, so they're used to winning. They're used to winning at home. So, again, that's going to be another great challenge in the growth of this team.
And there's been a lot of talk this year, especially from you, about how this is such a tough schedule, and even in the early going. How hard is it to turn around and go from playing an ACC school like Boston College and then to play a tough team like Albany, like the game we had last year that was a double overtime, knockout, drag-out kind of thing? You're playing 2 tough games back-to-back. How is it tough to get the team prepared for that?
I tell the kids it doesn't get easier, it gets harder, because,
Exactly.
I'm the one that never looks ahead, but just because there is a gap, Northern Colorado just beat DePaul in their opening game, and DePaul's nationally ranked. So there's no easy game, and I wouldn't be surprised by the time we played Northern Colorado, they're nationally ranked. So, every game is going to be tough. So after one's another, then you got Battle of the Bronx. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't matter what name of that team is. It just matters that it stands between us winning and losing, and that's kind of how we're attacking it.
I recall at a couple of your teams in the past, I recall in my first year here at WFUV that your team struggled a bit on the road that year. With these young players, with all these freshmen, what are the challenges of bringing them to a different environment, a road environment? Because it's, quite frankly, it's pretty cozy in the Rose Hill Gym. What's going to be the challenges of getting them to play on the road?
I don't think we know until we do it. I don't think I'll know how they react until we actually go through that, and I'm able to talk through them and help them through that. I mean, the one big thing I always say to win on the road, you got to keep it within 6, till about the 5-minute mark, and then you can steal a game on the road. But for our kids, we got to keep it within 6. Some of the games we're playing are going to be really, really tough opponents, and so how are they going to react to a call that doesn't go our way? How are they going to go react when a fan is booing? Who knows? For us, it's just like we say, keep it within the lines. All we can control is within the lines. So we're not going to worry about exterior things. We're just going to focus on what's the here and the now.
Always got to watch out for those crazy fans.
Yes, Jack and James are ridiculous.
Oh boy, I've seen a few fans in the football road games that have gone a bit too far.
Yeah,
Talking to an Eagles fan, so I know firsthand.
And so obviously the road trip's a little different, but do you think having had that trip abroad will prepare these freshmen at least a little bit for what it's like to be away from your home court but still get ready?
Yeah, I think that definitely does. But you can't, you really can't compare like being in Spain with 20 people in the stands to potentially being, with a kids game at BC. It's a little bit different. And so therefore, until we do it, I can't tell you to respond. But I will tell you that I think doing these games will now prepare us for at Dayton and at St. Louis. And that's the ultimate goal is to get us ready for conference play.
I just want to get this from your perspective. I recall having a conversation last year with one of the top high school basketball coaches in our home state of New Jersey, and he said he has more fun coaching a younger, less experienced team than he does with an established team with stars. Is it a more of a challenge, a fun challenge for you as a coach to have a young team as opposed to...
Was that Calipari with the one and dones? Or,
No.
Okay, just wanted to clarify, because it is a little easier when you're coaching the one and dones, because they got the talent. But yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, if I had gone back in my crystal ball and realized the changes we were going to have with, Kate leaving, probably wouldn't have made this aggressive a schedule because I was doing it based on what we had coming back. Who would have predicted Asnathi would get hurt and Mary would get hurt? You can't predict it. So now you just kind of have to roll with it and challenge them and get the best out of the kids that you have. And I think they've responded well. I think they're extremely coachable. Since I've been here, this probably, other than the year Aaron and Abigail here, is the best chemistry. So they're a group that really wants to learn, is hungry to learn, is constantly in the gym. So I don't really want to judge, even though the outside world will judge us by wins and losses. I can't judge us by that because we are so young.
All right, thank you so much, Coach. And that will do it for this week's edition of the Stephanie Gaitley Show.
Puerto Rico, they get an extra game out of it. Holden with the 3. Shot no good for Castaldo. Davis on the break all the way. To say the word Pandora. That's a great first name, but she is now gone. Bree Cavanaugh is a name we'll be saying on this year, first season with the Rams. Cavanaugh in the corner, back to Holden. There's 2, there's 1. She puts up the contested shot and gets it to go. Into the post. Davis on the low block, turns and puts it in. New Zealand national team guard.